It's the Regular Expressions Podcast. Join Noah Heldman and Ben Griswold as they talk about technology consulting, AI, and more. In episode 33, Ben and Noah welcome Chris Haas, a longtime colleague who has delved deep into AI and recently built and launched a new app, Skim It, that summarizes your favorite YouTube videos into a daily digest for easy consumption.
Hey guys, pretty excited, Noah, that we've got a guest on the show today. We have Chris Haas. I figure, Chris, I've known you for over 20 years now.
All right.
Way back to LPL, and my recommendation is that I made the hiring decision for you. Come on, which is my claim to fame, honestly. Back in the day when you had hands on keyboard, architecting as well as engineering, I thought you just did a bang up job. Clearly, while you were doing that, you didn't only have the brains to get into the code level, but you really saw the solution holistically. What's that user experience? What is it that's going to delight both the stakeholders as well as those end users? So it's really been great to not only have been worked with you in the past, but to keep up with your career journey along the way. I'm sure we'll get into things just around product design, product management, as well as your new product that you just released. So you just released Skim It. Skim It was announced on LinkedIn. Was it maybe Tuesday of last week?
Yeah, maybe Tuesday, if I remember correctly.
All right. Well, super exciting. Really, for the people who haven't heard about Skim It yet, could you give us a quick overview of what it is and what problems does it solve?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first, thanks for that introduction. And yes, I think you made a fantastic hiring call back in 2005, hiring a 25-year-old at the time. So really enjoyed our time together at LPL and then further along the way at Fairway. So thanks a lot for that, Ben. You've really opened some doors for me. To answer your question, so this was really a hobby project of mine. So Skim It kind of evolved over the years. And the problem that it was solving, particularly for me as the user number one, was we all have our careers and we all have our hobbies, and life is challenging, things move fast. And so being able to keep up with these things has become quite challenging, especially in the later years. And I found YouTube to be an incredible source of information. So obviously, we're in tech, we've been in tech all of our careers. I'm also a big health and wellness, like biohacking enthusiast. So those are like my two hobbies, and both of those fields are moving at tremendous speeds. And so it's been very difficult to keep up. And over the years, I've found some people on YouTube who I've grown to respect and trust. And to keep up with this, we all don't have, hours upon hours in which we can sit and watch YouTube videos, even at 2x speed. So with AI, I started summarizing them. So I first started doing this just by a copy and paste prompt and into things like Gemini. And then I evolved that into an actual gem. So I wouldn't actually have to copy the prompt anymore. And so little by little, it got less tedious and less tedious. And I was able to extract the information I wanted to. And the most important piece is not only was I able to extract the information without watching the entire video, I was actually able to quickly understand if a video was even worth watching in the first place. So, I'm sure we've all watched, 15-minute, even 30-minute videos and realized, wow, that really wasn't what I thought it was going to be. So it really helped solve the problem of being able to keep up with things and without investing all the time and be able to actually separate signal from noise. And it's really helped, again, me keep up with AI. It's helped me keep up with health and wellness and even parenting, things of that nature. So it really helps you solve that problem of just like trying to stay on top of life without having to invest too much time in a bunch of things that are just noise.
So what's the killer app aspect of it for you? You mentioned you evolved it over time and you got to the point where you can summarize something quickly. Where does that summary appear? How do you consume it? And how does it evaluate what is maybe worth watching or not worth watching?
Yeah, so the implementation, it evolved, right? So it was first evolved from just a copy and paste prompt right into Gemini, so getting all the information in a chat context, and then into a gem, so it was less copy and paste. And then when Claude Cowork came out and scheduled tasks, I decided to actually utilize that by having my static list of channels. And every day, Cowork would wake up, look for new videos posted to those channels, summarize them, shoot me an email for each individual one. And again, every step along the way of this evolvement helped solve a problem and get me the information quicker. But over time, even just having those emails in my inbox, I would start snoozing them, or they would sit there unread, creating anxiety for me. Yeah. And so this is why I created Skimmit, because Skimmit is actually more of a Gmail style inbox by itself. So what you would perceive as an email in Gmail, in Skimmit, it's an actual video summarization. And so it sits there waiting for you to actually go in and read it at your own time, on your own time. In addition, it'll send you, whether it's daily or weekly or however you want it, it'll send you an actual daily digest of the summarization. So I wake up, I have one email, even if 10 videos were posted. And the emails themselves are very short. It's a quick gist on each video with the 5 key takeaways. So really quick, just a quick glance, over morning coffee, you can extract the information and understand if it's actually worth diving in more and reading the more full summary. So yeah, that's kind of how it's evolved, and that's kind of the experience you get. Helps you, again, keep up with the latest information, separate signal from noise, and help you reduce that anxiety of trying to keep up and kind of clear out your inbox.
It's great that it started as a personal productivity tool. I've done the same thing for myself. It's amazing because we have AI capabilities now, how quickly you can build these to serve yourself. And awesome that you did that and you're saving yourself time. You're learning more information quickly, but you took it further. You took it a step further. You decided to turn it into a product. That's obviously very different from, it's a little tool that I like to use to help save myself time. Sure. So how did it evolve into that product? Were you trying to learn a bunch of other stuff about launching your own product? Or was it just, I want to give back to the community, a little bit of both? Tell me more about that.
Definitely a little bit of both. It definitely started, there were multiple intentions behind actually building this out to something that can be used by multiple people, by the community and the public abroad. And the first is, I found so much value in doing this. And I have been speaking to other folks in tech who are just so overwhelmed at the pace of AI and trying to keep up. And even my own wife, who is in AI every day, is just feeling overwhelmed by how much her company is pushing AI. And I thought, I've been feeling a lot less anxious about it ever since I've been able to kind of capture the information at a much higher rate. So I thought, hey, let's package this thing up and kind of share it with the world, and hopefully somebody else can get value from this. So that was one intent. The second was I built some hobby projects that are kind of one-off. As you mentioned, Noah, you're kind of building some things that are kind of one-off utilities for your own usage. I really wanted to build and learn how to build a product end-to-end using the AI stack, really kind of figure out what that workflow is to build a great product using all AI. And so Skimmit was really my opportunity to say, okay, this is for the public. This needs to be great. And let's actually learn the right way to do this. And so there's a lot of trial and error in the development. And the third is the Skimmit is part of just a larger story. I've sort of started like an indie AI product studio called Oatworks. And the focus is really, again, separating signal from all the noise. So there's a couple more products that I have in the backlog along the same kind of lines of separating signal from noise. And so that's kind of the whole story, multifaceted intent behind the product.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Chris, you spent a bunch of years focused on product, right? Mm-hmm. I'm wondering what lessons maybe you've learned along the way, especially in the enterprise. What lessons have you taken away from that experience? Maybe things that you've really considered highly when building out Skimmit. Maybe there's some things that work in the enterprise and didn't really apply here with this particular product. Just what comes to the top of your mind when I ask that question?
Yeah, I mean, there's what absolutely applies, and this was is we have, as product people, as technologists, we have refined the SDLC over decades and decades, right? And that was done for a reason. And so starting with your product spec, defining the problem, who your target user is, what metrics you're going to use to measure, what your scope, MVP scope is incredibly important because that helps you really define the foundation of the product. And then even taking it a step further, focusing on design, at the very least, setting up your design architecture before, making sure you have a design system, focusing on your actual architecture of the product. So doing code reviews, QA, all of that exists for a reason because we've needed it to create great products. So don't skip any of it, but find ways to do it all faster. So that's the thing I carried forward in this particular project and will continue to carry forward in future projects. The one interesting thing that I'm not carrying forward anymore is, especially as a product leader, we've been really focused on like, how do we create the smallest MVP possible, right? So like, let's get to market as fast as we can. Let's start learning so we can start the pivot, right? So create that smallest thing possible. And when your timelines are multiple months, maybe quarters, maybe even half a year, like it was at ServiceNow, it was really important to make sure that scope was locked in so you can like really keep that timeline crisp. But now with AI, you can build so much faster that I've noticed like, hey, I can actually add some polish to this thing. I can actually come out of the gate with something that looks and feels really, really well polished. Because I'm sure we've all released our MVP and we've had to cut like some really, really, painful scope at the end that we know our users are going to be turned off by. And so I found like, hey, I can spend an extra couple of days, even an extra week, given that my timeline is so compressed already, and really actually release something with some really good polish. So that's what kind of the thing I'm throwing out the door is like, your MVP is a lot different now.
Yeah, I really like that. That AI SDLC, it does continue to shape just so quickly as we learn. It feels that this is a big experiment that we're all figuring out as we go, and it's nice to see that you probably were streaming in a bunch of you had your YouTube feeds coming in. You're like, oh, this looks interesting. I know you talked about Lenny's podcast and some of the influential information that was provided there. Bring it all together and then really apply it to yourself and your product. So thanks for that. Yeah, speed seems to be king currently.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I think the product side is so critical, maybe more critical than it's ever been. The judgment, the understanding of, will this actually help somebody with a problem they experience on a regular basis? Your problem statement for Skimmit is so clean and clear, and the solution is also quite clean and clear, and how AI can help serve that. It's really neat that it kind of all fell together to solve this problem. But I think, as we've all experienced, we can make the implementation side, the coding side, much faster. It can crank out all the unit tests. It can create PRs. It can build out incredibly complex architectures, maybe too quickly, but the judgment still has to be there. And we shifted from early vibe coding to very heavy spec-based coding to then like pulling back the spec a little bit. What's the right level of detail? But that product piece comes in as just maybe the most critical piece for success. So kind of walk us through how that has shaped this implementation. How did you think about the product side? How did you think about the specifications? How much work did you do there? And maybe even as a percentage of the total work you did before you dug into the AI coding side of things.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, that is carrying forward the SDLC was the biggest learning lesson in this. Because again, that dopamine hit of making a quick idea come to life is very tempting, right? And again, I've done that with other past projects that have turned into maintenance nightmares. So this time, the problem was really clear. for me. And as user number one, I just kind of knew who I wanted to target. Other folks just like me in the same types of hobbies in tech. And so as a product person, engineer turned product person, writing the spec has become second nature. It was something that I've always drilled into my teams. You got to be really crystal clear on that spec, who your user is, the problem you're solving. So I spent quite a bit of time up front. I actually started in Claude Chat to create the spec. And I spent probably a good couple of days, even with the problem so well understood, spent a couple of days like really refining exactly what we were going to build, why we were going to build it, how we were going to measure. Another piece of this is distribution, right? Like you can build a great product, but how are you actually going to get it in front of users? And I think that's the hardest part right now. You're getting an influx of people who can build, but still distribution is really difficult. So understanding that up front was really important. So it doesn't sound like much to spend an entire day or 2 days on a spec when I've had my teams working months on them before. But that's about how much time we actually spent initially. But then, you iterate, right? You're constantly in plan mode in Claude Code, coming up with like new ideas and coming across new problems. And so again, you're spending a lot of time on the plan before you're actually executing. So I would probably say I spend about 60% of my time in plan mode than I do in execution.
How do you find that shifting when you're past the initial spec? Because you're probably like me, you feel like I'm just going to put 2 full days into this. I'm going to cover every possible edge case, just detail it to the nth degree. And then no matter what, you can't think of everything. As long as we've done this, you're going to leave things out. There will be edge cases. So AI comes back, maybe does a first pass, you start to play with it, and then you realize, oh, I didn't think of this situation. AI maybe brings it back to you. What I find is that's when I tend to shift into hurry up mode. Like I already did the hard work of the initial spec, but the right thing to do is to just reintroduce that rigor and go right back into detailed plan mode and try to think of as many things as you can. And then the risk might be, are we doing this too waterfall-like? Are we trying to cover everything initially and not being agile enough? But in this case, I feel like you have to give AI a lot of constraints, a lot of guidance, and a lot of information so that it doesn't go off the rails. Anyway, your thoughts on that? How do you iterate and do you bring that rigor through?
Yeah, that resonates a ton. Noah, I feel like, and I've experienced this before in other hobby projects, is like if you're not clear up front, and if you're not clear as you progress in the app, it can easily go off the rails as far as its design, its user experience, its architecture. And so continuing to maintain that rigor is super, super important. And I just find just like get up, take a walk, reset, try to take a dopamine break. It really helps me kind of get back to my roots as I'm going along in the project. So I don't think everything is agile in life. I think waterfall-ish, or there's a saying for it I can't recall right now, is okay, right? I think you kind of know what you need to do. You define epics, you work in sprints, and it might feel kind of waterfallish because we're iterating so fast with AI, but it's still very agile in many ways.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel going for a walk, dopamine, I think some of that biohacking is starting to surface in this conversation. That's great. I think Scrumfall, maybe? Was that what you're looking for? Yeah. Love it. Hey, early in the conversation, you were talking, and I'm paraphrasing, sorry, old brain. There's a need to demystify AI, right? There's a little anxiety around it. There's what is this thing? How do I use it? And all. I'm wondering, was there a point in which you started really getting into development with AI, testing with AI, etc., that you're like, oh yeah, like it clicked. Like this is how I really can use AI, and maybe more importantly, how you can start describing it to other folks so that they can get their heads around the real benefits of producing that hobby project, that thing that just gives them one click up when they're working in the morning and they're ready to hit their days running. What do you think?
I've been using AI ever since, ChatGPT, even before ChatGPT, machine learning type things. And so, but really when ChatGPT hit the market, I've been in it almost every day, just trying to learn it, test where the bounds are. And I think that's just what's important, is to just continue to understand that this is the worst AI is ever going to be.
Right.
Right. And so if something didn't work 6 months ago and you sort of have said, that's this AI stuff's not going to work. That's a really bad mindset to have. So try it. If it doesn't work, try it again in a few months. It might actually greatly improve and be able to actually stretch beyond your bounds of what you know it can do. So I think that's a really important muscle to exercise and make sure that we're doing, because again, this is the worst it'll ever be. So only up from here.
Right.
Yeah.
I was reading an article the other day that of all the folks in the US, about 50% now use basic chat. Right. It's dominated by ChatGPT. And then it ends up being, I think it ends up being Gemini next. And then Claude was actually third in the list. And some of those others that were, a year ago, right up in there, they're not even mentioned at all. So it seems that just getting into the entry level, which is move away from Google search, start using, basic chat functionality, just so you can start recognizing like how the ins and outs of how this can really elevate whether you're doing research or et cetera. What is it you think would get someone, which I think is kind of out of reach for most people, get someone into the coding phase? Like, how do you go from chat to coding? And do you feel that you need to have 20 years of experience in technology, right? Like yourself, like us, to really be able to use the tools effectively?
That's it. That's interesting. I'm biased with this answer. I'd love to say,
Sure.
yes, you need to have 20 years of experience building products if you want to continue to build great ones. Because even with this project, there were things that, hey, if I didn't know as an engineer for 15 years to think about, like a dev environment, a prod environment, CI/CD, like tests, AI was not going to help me with that. Right. In past projects, it was just like, let's just build the thing. So I feel like you do need some sort of technical background right now to really make sure that you're keeping tabs on the SDLC, how it works, making sure AI understands how it works when you're on dev versus when you're on prod, so it doesn't push changes to the database. So that comes with a lot of experience. Now, I think a lot of this can start being encapsulated with skills and plugins in Claude. So those types of things are already kind of done for a regular person. And I also think I love Anthropic or Claude's desktop app, because I'm a VS Code person. I love using Claude Code and VS Code. It's familiar, right? We've spent decades in there. But honestly, I only look at the environment.local file. Like, I never look at the code. So it almost feels like, why am I even here? And when I look at someone like my wife, who is a designer, and she's looking to build websites, using Claude Code in the desktop is perfect for her, because it's just, here's the chat, here's the experience, continue to iterate. So I think, but still, if you want to take that to production and need to start thinking about dev and prod, then that's a whole nother level. And I think that's where the engineering handoff or technical person handoff needs to still happen.
Yeah, we fully agree, and we are equally biased. And I think it's a good thing, right? You need to know that all of the time we've put in does build up so much knowledge and so much ability to judge quickly. My son does vibe coding. He's done some really impressive and very cool things, but I can find issues with it inside of 5 minutes every time, because he doesn't know the ecosystem. He's not a developer. And as you get into enterprise software, the potential issues are far more complex. So it made me think of a question for you, because You mentioned Gemini and Gems initially for your first version. You mentioned Claude Plan Mode. You just talked about the Claude desktop app. What guided you toward the right model to solve the specific problem for Skimmit? Why did you go for that model, and how much was token cost and token efficiency a part of the equation?
All good questions. I wish I had really intelligent answers to them, but it was simply, Claude Code finally became good in November of last year. And so that was all the rage. And so I just decided to go all in on Claude. So I went from ChatGPT to being, a forever Google person to now being an Anthropic guy. And I just loved the experience. I felt like I was getting everything I needed out of it, even while everyone's now whispering, hey, you really need to be doing codecs.
Yeah.
So I'm still like, oh, this actually still is pretty darn good. I'm okay with this experience. I would love to just kind of really learn one ecosystem right now in order to produce my outcomes. As far as token cost, right now it hasn't been a huge concern. I pay for the $200 a month max plan, and I was on the $20 plan, and that was sufficient enough until I started using Claude Design, which is just burns tokens like crazy, forcing me to the $200 a month. But even the value there is just immense. So I'm happy paying the $200 a month. I don't come close to my API usage. Maybe that's a problem. Maybe I should write some more loops. I don't know. But right now, I'm happy where I am. And even though I'm taking in a bunch of information from Skimmit, talking about these new models that are just as good as, but 1/5 the cost, I'm still just like, hey, I'm good where I'm at right now.
Chris, I'm not familiar with Claude Design. No, you speak really highly of it here as well as on LinkedIn. Can you give me the 10,000 foot pitch on what it is?
It can do anything you need it to do in regards to design. Obviously, in this use case, this was more about designing, marketing pages in the app itself. So it really kind of focused there, but you can actually have it build you a brand style guide for your new company or your new app. I even had it design my daughter's American Girl doll, brand new, leg broke. within hours. We told her it went to the doll hospital. And Addison, if you're listening to this, I'm sorry. And so I actually had Claude Design create a card that was mailed back with the doll that said, I just got out of the hospital. So it's an amazing design tool for any design project you can think of. I obviously used it heavily for Skimmit to really define the entire interaction of the marketing pages and the app. And it can give you multiple iterations, multiple variations of a certain design. So you can then tweak it from there. It can create clickable prototypes so you can actually experience what it's like. So it's very Figma-like. And what I really loved was the handoff into Claude Code was incredibly easy. So if you start with your requirements and you use Claude Design, you input those into Claude Design builds you out the experience, you tweak it in there, and you have it really well defined. You can basically just hit an export to Claude Code button, which just gives you a prompt with a link to a zip file of the design artifacts. And Claude Code just reads it all, reads all your chat context from that design session, and implements it. And it's pixel perfect every time. So it's truly an amazing tool. Again, this is why I really want to stick with the Claude and Anthropic ecosystem. But wow, it's really, really, really good. And I've tried other ones. I've tried Google's AI Studio. I think it's called Stitch. Didn't love it as much.
So is this a standalone application, Claude Design? Is it a plugin? How does it complement Claude Code?
Yeah, well, at first it was just available on the web. So claude.ai/design. And you just design, you get your little chat box over there. You've got your canvas, very Figma-like, drag and drop and zoom out. And they just recently, with this week's upgrade, added it to the Claude desktop app. So now there's a Claude Design tab in there. So you have access to it on the desktop and the web. And every design project has an export button. So you can say, for this file, export to Claude Code. All you do is copy the prompts, enter it to Claude Code, and away it goes. It's simply amazing. That handoff right there is just so worth it.
That's high praise. I know you have a great eye for design. So thanks for sharing that. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to check it out. I'll keep refreshing my Claude desktop and see when that tab pops up.
Good
Very
stuff.
cool.
So did you run into some surprises when you were building Skimmit? Obviously, everything has evolved to where it is today, and you were able to use some of the latest, greatest tools. But did you run into moments where your assumptions about how AI could help you with this development just shifted? Were there some surprises along the way?
I feel with our background in tech, I feel like it's challenging for us to take our hands off the steering wheel. And how I was as an engineer was I took a lot of pride into how my code looked. And it was art to me. And I hated inheriting someone's code that was just sloppy. And Ben, I know you're the same way. And I feel as I started using AI, especially to code, I was constantly checking it. Like, hey, are you doing this correctly? What's your code looking like? And I just had to know how it was working. And slowly but surely, I just started taking my hands off the steering wheel and just said, you know what? I have a really good workflow now of designing, implementing, reviewing, QAing that I don't need to look at the code. And so it's truly amazing what it all can do across the entire SDLC. It's amazing that there are some phenomenal QA skills out there that actually like launch browser sessions and take screenshots and fix itself. It's just, I'm amazed, every week or month or day about how much more it can do and how much the community of builders are really pushing and extending it. It's phenomenal. I feel like, it's kind of like self-driving cars. Eventually, you just kind of realize, the computer's a little better at this than me. I'm going to let it do its thing.
I think that's true. And the counter to it is there's a point at which if you're not paying close attention, it can still bite you. And a super quick example, because I'm in the same place. I was very hands-on reviewing every file, and then it was just take a step back. I've got my framework in place, my skills, my plugins, my commands, my hooks, and it works. So I'm going to trust it. We shipped something without really testing it thoroughly, where we wanted to make sure that a sign-in button disabled when you clicked it, and that the user couldn't just spam it a bunch of times. Yeah. The implementation that it went with used an obscure event to disable the button as quickly as possible. And it actually disabled it before JavaScript was able to trigger the submit to the server. So you click it and nothing happens. There's no logs because it gets intercepted before it even posts to the server. So you still have to watch for those things. That surprised us a little bit. And it's good to be reminded sometimes that, okay, it still makes mistakes. And this is using some of the latest and greatest models. Same thing, max plan, like we're going to get this right. But you still have to be a good QA person, a good architect, a good experienced engineer to make sure that you're not putting something in production that's going to cause an issue.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I found countless things like that as well. And again, kind of goes back to our roots of like, wow, if I didn't have that experience of knowing how to actually test these things and to look out for these things, that could have gotten ugly.
I just heard this situation just around AI. Someone prompted and they said, I need to get my car washed. The car wash is right around the corner. Should I wash or should I drive? And it was, you should walk. It's right around the corner. So it was, you don't always get the answers back that you want. No, not at all. I'd love to get back into the product a little bit and the product design. I'm sure you have a lot of feature ideas that are popping up in your own brain. But how much of the product feature sets that you want to release are you collaborating with Claude on? Is this hey, this is what we've got right now. What's the next neat idea? All right. Do you do that at all? Or are you really just focused on that spec, coming up with your own thoughts and then continuing to iterate yourself, right? That judgment that Noah was talking about.
Yeah. Well, as of right now, I'm trying to get this thing into the hands of users and to get their feedback and to understand their usage. So that's priority number one. So yes, I have a roadmap. It's ideas that, as user number one, that I'm like, wow, sure would be nice to have, quick little chapter markers on these TLDR or key takeaways so people can get to there really quick. It'd be great to have a Chrome extension that could quickly import a video from YouTube into the product. So a lot of ideas that I have, and just from being a product guy, I can kind of sense like, oh, this feels like an area of friction. Like, I think we should fix that. And then I like to have those ideas, brainstorm with Claude, have it give me ideas as well. And then we kind of can define a roadmap from there. But right now, like, I got to get this into the hands of users. I got to get their feedback. Just watching my wife use it, going through onboarding the other week, I completely revamped onboarding, just watching that experience. So, that's the most important thing right now. And I know, as of right now, I don't think Claude can help me with that. Maybe you can digest recorded sessions and transcripts and stuff like that. But, the product person in me really needs to be there to see users experience it.
Yeah, and I think of that in terms of just judgment skills, and always think about AI being trained on years or decades of good ideas and bad ideas. And where does its judgment come in? How does it determine what a good design looks like? Whether you're using concepts of product-led growth in your app to get people to stay sticky, or if you're relying on advertising or just a core killer feature that they've got to come back for every day. You have a built-in touch point with an email digest, which is great. If someone signs up for that right away, you have an opportunity to feed them information that they asked for. So that's just a really solid foundational piece versus an app that you have to coax users to come back to for the useful information. So I guess just from that perspective, where does AI's knowledge and capability help you amplify what you can do, and where is it maybe a bit of a handicap that you have to watch out for?
Yeah, I mean, it could absolutely amplify, having it play a CRO specialist, conversion rate optimization specialist, and feed it my onboarding screens. It can instantly identify areas where the user has to think, areas of friction, and be able to suggest ways around that. So giving it these very specific roles like a CRO, it can be incredibly valuable because there are principles that are involved in conversion rate optimization. There are principles in product-led growth that are very well defined that the AI is trained on. So being able to actually help me kind of QA things and find these friction points has been extremely helpful. I think, since AI is probabilistic by nature, it's terrible at vision, right? It's terrible about predicting the future because it can't. It's trained on history. So that's where it's really up to the humans and the product people is to really kind of define that visionary end state that you want for your products and product portfolios that AI just can't do. You don't really want it doing because it'll just create subpar, already done products. No good.
So humans are still important. That's what we need to keep hearing.
Incredibly important. Let's see what Fable 5 can do once it comes back. But as of right now, yeah, that taste, that judgment, that being able to, think about a future that you want to achieve with your products is all human right now.
So, Chris, we're getting around that time when, people are finishing up their gym workout. They're like, all right, let's finish up the episode at the same time. So let's move into our 5 questions. I'm not sure if you're aware, but these are the same 5 questions we ask each of our guests. Noah and I have answered these in the past. We think they're fun, but maybe it's a lightning round. Just give us the answers as they come. I don't think that you've seen these prior to the call, so get ready. So number 1, what's the work-related buzzword or phrase you'd love to ban forever?
Agent. I hate the word agent. It's just the biggest pet peeve of mine. People are calling, decades old workflows agents now. It's just, It's really, really frustrating. I don't know what you mean now when you say agents. I've seen so many different flavors of agents, misused the word agent. I don't think we can ban it, but I would really hope as we evolve agentic AI that we get it really, really clear on what is truly an agent versus not.
Yep, that's a good one. And it has been overloaded so much. There's so many terms from our past, like a service is another one like that. What is a service? And it comes down to the ubiquitous language. How do we all define something we agree on? So if you go into a new company, you need everyone to understand what the definition of agent is for that group, for that company, to be effective with it. So you're right. I don't think we can ban it, but we can make it better. Great. Number 2, what is a small habit or tool, skim it, that makes your workday 10 times better?
Good question. Skim it obviously does help my day. It helps me stay up on latest happenings, latest technologies, gives me that little bit of, TLDR that I need kind of going into the workday. Gosh, what else? I mean, Whisperflow has been just a game changer as far as productivity. I still have to catch myself typing since we've been doing that for 30 plus years at this point. I'm sure there's others, but I can't think of them right off the top of my head.
How about on the fitness side of things? How can folks level up?
Just get moving. That's it. I mean, exercise is the absolute number one thing that our bodies and minds need. Beyond sleep, you can recover from poor sleep with exercise. You can recover from poor diet with exercise. But if you just get up and get moving, 20 minutes a day walking, I'm a big gym guy, work out 6 days a week. Been doing that for a very long time, but movement is the true medicine. It will make your life insanely better on every facet.
Yeah. I love it. We're going to have to do these, maybe these podcasts standing. I'll at least stand up at my desk
or
next
running.
time.
But just a running podcast. What a great gimmick.
All right, shifting gears to number 3. Think back on a big career mistake or funny fail. What happened?
Ooh, career mistake or funny fail. Oh Lord, I've had so many. How do you actually narrow in on one? Gosh, I think the biggest career mistake as an engineer is when you think about, this is a small change. I'm just going to go right to production with this one. No one's going to notice, right? This is like 15 years ago when, the company will remain nameless. But yes, small change. I was like, do I want to wait 2 weeks to just get this little syntax change in? And F5. No. And wouldn't you know, an hour later, phones are ringing. What's going on? So that was definitely the push to prod, thinking it was small, was definitely like the big career oops of engineering for sure.
We've all had them.
Yeah.
We had to have.
Yeah. If you don't break production, you're not doing anything.
That's right.
All right. Number 4, what is the next big thing in technology? And you can't say AI.
Next big thing in technology, and it's not AI. I don't know about technology, but I feel like with everything, with all the content that's being generated by AI, I think realism is going to be the next hot thing. So being actually able to, create content with real people in real life, because I don't know about you guys, but I have such a heightened awareness now for generated content that I just skip over it, whether it's a post on LinkedIn or a shorts or reel on Instagram. So it's not technology, but I think it's the ability to really create real life, actual videos and content, as well as maybe technology that then brings humans closer together, because we keep developing technology that sort of isolates us. We feel somewhat more interconnected, like we've never really been able to check up on high school friends like this before. But that has really kind of pushed us to, less actual human in real life connectivity. So I'm starting to really see things, especially in the health and wellness side, about technology that's being developed to help bring people together in real life. So I like that movement a lot. I think it's going to be super important. And I'm sure as parents, we definitely want to see that for our children.
I just spent the last 4 days on a trip up to Northern California, which turned out to be a family reunion. And I couldn't agree with you more. I don't think we took ChatGPT or any AI tool out the entire 4 days. It was just people who hadn't seen each other in a long time, hanging out, having a good time, maybe talking about AI and the fact that it's making that harder to feel like you want to make those connections. But absolutely right. I like your comment about just movement, get out there. And it's the same thing with community. Just get out there, make a connection to a real human being. There is no substitute for that. So great answer.
Last one.
Let's go.
If you could instantly master one skill, this is a new skill, what would it be?
Instantly master a new skill. As a lifelong introvert, I would love to master the skill of being like the energy in the room. Like we all have been in that room where that extrovert is just, you feel the energy and it makes you feel good being in that room with that person. I think that is a tremendous skill. I think it can be manufactured in non-extroverts like us. But it is, you feel it. And if I could actually spend some time really learning how to manufacture that, I think that would be the number one skill that would improve my life more than any AI technology or Claude skill out there.
Yeah. That's really interesting that we have not gotten that answer yet, for sure. And I really love it. Yeah, I think I'm in the same camp as you on that one. It's not my number one, but it's way up there. Yeah.
Right there with you. I'm only an extrovert when I'm performing music, and otherwise, it would be amazing to be that person. So, awesome.
What a great show! 3 introverts having a conversation together, all hiding themselves from the camera, talking very quietly. So. Chris, thanks so much for jumping on the call with us today. This was really great. Super happy to be able to talk about Skim It, talk about your career and hearing the insights that you had to offer. Appreciate it.
Ben, Noah, this has been super fun. Thank you for the opportunity. Loved it. Yeah, absolutely. For those listening, you can get Skim It. That's a hint at getskimit.com, GETSKIMIT.com. Check it out. It will save you some time. And thank you so much, Chris.